Testing. This headset sounds.
Maybe it's me. Oh, there we go. That's me. Okay.
Yep.
Perhaps a little lower. I feel a bit high. Or is our headphone volume up very loud?
It's possible that the headphone volume's up loud.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because I mean, you're sitting below 0 decibels, and the
Huh.
light is getting nowhere talk.
also your phone's at 1% battery. I should point out.
Yeah, I know. That phone's.
It's just kind of freaky to me.
Yeah, like you're peaking on the board at -20. So like I mean I realize that that's not really indicative because it's gonna go in.
All right.
the
Well,
board and then
we got to get the Facebook thing shared here in like 3 minutes. So,
So.
let's get this set.
Okay.
Just test all the other mics. I'm working.
Check. Turn me down. Check.
That should be fine.
Yep.
Not on in the slide. There we go. A. Check.
We have to turn it up a little louder.
Check. A.
What the? Oh.
I am microphone 1. Holy shit! All right. Check 1 2. Does it sound hot in your guys' headphones?
No, I sound
It's not for me.
Because it doesn't sound hot in my headphones like at all. Well, okay, that's why.
That would explain why.
That's why my voice didn't sound right.
Just
Okay,
turn it
check
down.
1 2
I can only turn my right ear for some reason. I was like, what's going on?
1 2 check.
Witness.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me.
Check. I'm not on. There we go.
All right.
Check.
When I
Oh,
was doing
everybody's
when I was
okay.
doing the sound check for the microphones,
Maybe.
I muted
Just
everybody
nervous
as I
about
was
being
going.
off again.
All right, talk, just banter. Just keep,
Okay, well-
Keep the bell away
keep
from
talking so that way we can see how this is going to work while everybody is talking together.
Well,
here in the
um,
headphones.
Let me get the
We're trying not to
stream
all
up.
talk together. We're trying not to interrupt each other.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, just in case that does happen, we don't want to overload the sound.
I need to get the stream up.
I'll be right back.
Everybody go pee, go poop, go do your thing. Let me in the chair.
Fuck. Where'd the subclasses go?
Jake had them. They were printed out. They're over here.
Yeah, no, I need.
I have them.
I haven't even read them yet.
There you go.
God damn it.
Circle spores.
Spores. Sex pollen.
Copy. And
3 poison damage. Yuck.
hitting the going live button.
Not yet.
No, I mean, because I got to share the video.
Holy shit! All right. Animate dead at 6th level.
Delicious beer.
That's kind of cool at 10th level for the druid. As a bonus action, you can hurl fungal spores 30 feet away where they swirl around in a 10-foot cube for a minute. While the cube of spores persists, you can't use your Halo of Spores feature, but any creature that starts its turn in the cube takes your Halo of Spores damage. So you're doing an extra 3 damage per turn as long as they're within that radius. Which, I mean, it's pretty easy to escape, but at the same time, if you place it strategically.
And we're going to try Tavern.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
That's kind of a cool ability, even though it's a little bit later on in the game.
All right, I'm going to go take a urine.
Cool.
Brutish durability beginning at 7th
Be
level.
quick,
Your
actually.
toughness allows you to shrug off assaults that would devastate others. Whenever you make a saving throw, roll 1d6 and add the die to your saving throw total. If applying this bonus to a death saving throw increases the total to 20 or higher, you gain the benefits of rolling a 20 on the d20.
All right.
So if you roll a 14 and then roll a 6 on your d6, you basically landed a 20, which means you're stable. That's nice.
All right.
Additional fighting style, 10th level. Yeah, those are cool.
But yeah, see, here's the Pantheon with their bonuses and their boons and their non-boon. Their boons and their hating.
Jimmy Buffett.
I was like, he is the god of beer, but I'm also margaritas.
No, he's the god of margaritas for sure. He's got a restaurant chain named Margaritaville.
No, when I was in fucking Key West with a geology field trip, all the grad students were like, the professor was like, oh, so what's everybody doing? And one of the grad students was like, seeking an audience with King Buffett.
I love how the reverse is like two of the worst things imaginable, and then like the worst thing that people deal with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Pestilence, famine, and hangovers.
You just gotta, you gotta stay in the game somehow.
That's what I'm gonna do my PhD on.
How hangovers work.
No,
Why?
I'm going to try to develop.
Non-hangover beer.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm going to try to develop compounds that I could put into beer that wouldn't impact flavor.
Yeast that makes electrolytes.
I'm planning on going biochemistry, not genetics.
Well, yeah, fair. But biochemistry, yeah, something that converts
Wow, this
sugars
pre-show
into
talk is boring
electrolytes.
as hell.
Fuck off, Jake. This is important. You love to drink. You hate hangovers. It's very important.
That's my PhD thesis, man.
Bingo bango.
Love to drink, but hate.
Developing a drink that will get you
fuck.
drunk and not give you a hangover.
The difference between scientists and people is we want a discovery that turns water into fuel, but they want a discovery that turns whiskey into breakfast.
Just
Whiskey is breakfast. Go to hell, Paul.
That's not the difference between people and scientists. That's the difference. I don't
That's
think
the-
that there really is a difference because I'm going to be a scientist
That's
and
the
I
difference
want
between
that.
the Irish and the rest of us.
Yes, and I'm Irish. That's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Same.
Please get the
Look at
song-
me.
please get the
Also,
song queued
my
up.
friend Moss recommends that we also include that we're talking about these classes because he thinks it's kind of boring to just talk about Critical Role.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna be talking about a
I'm
lot of
saying
stuff.
mention in the Facebook thing.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
not
yeah.
just talking
I did.
about.
I mentioned everything.
All right,
Everything.
that's fair. Right.
Just listen to the show.
Yeah.
Yep, Critical Role Season 2, Blood Hunter, a trio of subclasses and inspiration for world building.
All right. Everyone got a chance to look at this, right? Like,
I'm not looking at it, but that's
I
that's,
did
that's
not-
usually my conceit, as I'm the heel.
I did not get to look at Blood Hunter,
okay, well,
so I'll just sit over here and give hot takes about it.
well, you can read this very quickly in the next minute.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. No, I'm
Uh.
gonna have to squeeze in here just a hair. All right, yeah, we're good. Get my ugly mug on camera.
No, you're pretty.
Yeah, get on camera. We need
There we
you.
are.
We need to attract the young lady demographic. Glenn.
Hey.
Hey,
Look, sure as shit I'm not doing it, and Jake's taken, so,
so am I.
well. That's
About
news to
bless.
me.
Yeah, no, I've been.
No, I've met Sam. She's lovely.
Yeah, I've been with the same girl for like almost a year now.
No, this is seriously news to me. I didn't know this.
No,
Yes,
we need
sir.
to blast some hot takes about what the fuck is this called?
We should-
Blood
Blood Hunter.
Blood Hunter.
Blood.
It's already on there.
Dragon.
I'm just sharing this right now.
It's not-
somebody who's tuning in right now and listening to our nonsense pre-show banter said whiskey is breakfast.
It is
Yeah,
breakfast.
fact. You're correct, Dan. Thanks.
Dan
Shout out.
Dan Reinhardt actually. Reinhardt. Love it.
It seems I've been
You missed
told.
the Overwatch banter before we were live.
Yeah, we had a fairly not heated conversation, but a nice debate about
takes. Some
hot takes.
Overwatch.
But that's not the topic of the show, of course.
BRB, I'm going to use the bathroom and get myself.
I would recommend it very quickly because we're about to start.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Cast
Follow
your
it up
haste
and do
spell.
the
Let's get
same.
going. Well, I guess it's just you and me, Jake.
Yeah, there's just a queue at the bathroom now.
Despite the fact that we said to do so 7 minutes ago. Well, whatever.
Oh, well.
So, while these two are gone,
So,
what's our plans for Tuesday?
I don't know. I'm going to see if I can get my character killed again. Actively attempting to
You
get
are
him
trying your level best. I'm not going to lie.
killed. Soon.
I mean, running right up into the face of a blackguard as a rogue is probably going to do it, but...
Hey, I didn't run. I slid gloriously on my knees.
Right, you power slid. I
Yeah.
forgot.
Okay. Gonna have Clint turn my mic down just a little bit. I'm shrieking.
Are you? Huh. Well, hey guys, we should have started by now. I should probably let Fado know that we're actually starting.
Yeah, it might help if we have our moderator. Only a little bit. Oh,
Yeah. Hi.
where is the audio on her iPad?
All right. Well, while we can't talk about super spicy takes, here's a question for you. What do you think about Warlock? How do you feel about it being added to the core classes? Because it wasn't a core class until 4th edition, and even in 3rd edition, it was a fairly obscure class.
Turn the volume off on that.
Thanks, Tom.
Can we just... This is the cursed 13th episode.
Yeah,
no, this always happens because I actually use my iPad for like shit. So
Well, I mean, but we're now 3 minutes into our start time. We haven't started.
We are 2 minutes in, Paul.
2? Okay.
We'll call it 2.5. Okay, let me
right,
change
we're
it. No, I mean, I love Warlock. Like,
Warlock's is
I
great.
wear my Warlock shirt with pride, so I'm happy that it's a thing.
That's good to hear.
Eldritch Blast for life.
Yeah, that's a questionable design decisions at 10.
All right, we're actually starting now.
Let me, I gotta set the
Starting.
Thank you for staying for the pregame chant.
It's the
pregame
record
batter.
button, right?
Banter.
Yeah. No, not the record button, the play button.
Play button.
Let's give this a go, shall we? How many people are watching? Like 63?
Lock Talk. We are live, boys.
Are you gonna play our theme song?
Ladies and gentlemen,
Are you gonna-
I thought you were
play
gonna
our theme song? Or
I
are we
thought
just
you were
going
gonna
for
give
it?
the rundown like you normally do,
No.
and then
Nope.
No, okay.
That was the pregame banner right there.
Without further ado,
Play the fight song, Clint. Play the fight song. All right, everybody, welcome to 3DM's podcast. This is episode 13.
The cursed episode.
Yeah, the cursed episode. How's everybody doing this week?
Great.
fantastic. I'm actually here.
Oh, yeah, I'm having a great week. Finally going back to college.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm applying for another college like an idiot.
Okay, so
Unfortunately,
we've
we're
got a pretty stacked show today, so we're just going to hop into it. First things first, we are recording out of the Podcast Detroit studios in Royal Oak. If you ever want to start your own podcast, get a hold of Podcast Detroit. If you're in the southeastern Michigan area, Eastern Michigan area, it's
About Shmya.
about Shmya. It's super easy to do.
My brain went immediately to Mr. Meeseeks when you said that. I hate myself.
Yeah.
Okay, let's. But
Podcast Detroit, if you want to start your own podcast,
Yes.
it's super cheap, great studios, a lot of fun.
very easy. They help a lot.
Yep. All right. And also, let's plug our giveaway because once our Facebook page gets to 500 likes, the 3DM's pod.
500.
500.
We're almost 2/5 of the way there.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
almost. Once we get to 500 likes on the Facebook page, we are going to randomly give away 2 books to 2 people who have liked the page. So any D&D 5e book of your choice, just as long as it's not a special edition. So go ahead and go like our page, share our page, let people know that we're doing this giveaway. We're trying to grow our page. Help us out. So,
Word to the streets.
Without further ado,
yeah, without further ado, we've got a pretty stacked list of things to talk about. So, first things first, we're just going to talk about Critical Role really quick, just get that out of the way. No one in this room watches Critical Role, except for me,
Look,
occasionally.
I play a role playing game every single night of the week. Like, I don't have time to watch more role playing games in addition to the other stuff in my life.
I need a new podcast, so I'll get into it.
Unfortunately, the only thing that I know about season 1 was the video that Matthew Colville did about the end of season 1, which I won't throw out spoilers for anybody that's tuning in
Thank you,
and
'cause I
wants
will
to
be.
tune into that.
I will be doing a backlog, I guess.
He has after you finish it up, or if you've already finished it up, I would highly suggest checking out that video. He breaks down a big thing that I don't know. I probably wouldn't have thought about it. I thought it was a really, really cool take and interpretation on the way that the show came to an end.
Well, Matt Colville does got a real big brain, though. So,
Yes, he does.
Expand brain.
The show's senpai.
yeah. So, talking about season 2, though, I watched the first episode of season 2, caught it yesterday, spent some nice couch time with my dog.
Good Lucy. You said the party was not well balanced.
No, the party's got a pretty okay. They've got a monk.
I have a hot take on this, but go on.
All right. Well, really quick, though.
Yeah, let's recap.
I feel like our show is full of hot takes.
Oh, yeah. It's nothing but hot takes. That's the point.
Some of them
So
are
they have a
lukewarm.
monk?
Listen. All right. So really quick before we launch into this, if you're waiting to watch the official like YouTube release of it on Monday, turn off the volume for a bit.
Yeah, give us like 30 seconds. Fast
Just
forward.
2
look
minutes,
for,
2 minutes.
Just look for the wacky hand gestures like this, and then you're good to come back.
We'll wave. If you're live,
Yes,
yeah.
we will cue you.
If you're on the podcast, just
Minor spoiler alert.
Hop to it.
anyways. So they got a monk, they've got a hexblade warlock, they've got a transmutation wizard, they've got a 5 charisma having rogue, goblin rogue. There is the
What?
Okay.
Yeah, a
hold-
goblin player character.
Yeah, goblin player character.
I was more saying that about a +5 to charisma.
No,
for
a-
a-
No, only 5.
like an actual
5.
five.
Like a -3.
I thought you were
modifier.
talking bonus.
no.
Although they did use roll 46 keep 3 is what I'm assuming they use, because like some of them got 19s for stats and stuff. Like
Yeah.
you know, a bunch of 16s and like an 18, so they got pretty good stat lines.
That's why we like point buy.
We got a barbarian in the mix, human barbarian, tiefling cleric. I'm not gonna say who's playing who, and tiefling blood hunter, which is the class that just got added to the D&D Beyond. Excuse me.
Which we'll be talking about shortly here.
Apologies.
We should probably get to the arm waving thing, or at least to the spoilers, so we can get our.
Well, no.
audience
So,
back.
you know, episode was fun, cheeky fun, got new characters introduced. But the one thing that really does crack me up about this party is nobody except for the barbarian has a strength score over 12.
Team Noodle Arms.
I really want to see Matt Mercer, because also the person who plays the barbarian, Ashley Johnson, is not always on the show. So I just am really waiting for the day
Yeah,
where
what show is she in? Like, what does she act on
I
again?
can't remember, but it's some TV show on NBC.
Look, we wasted all of our
Yeah, anyway,
wasted all of our
spoilers are
useful
over.
space with
Yeah.
with information about random Dungeons and Dragons facts. So
For those of you that are joining back on SoundCloud and finding this episode in retrospect, go back to where's the? Oh, we can't see the timestamp.
Right.
No.
okay, so I want to get my hot
Go to
take out of the way before we
recording
get any
window,
further.
not
Is
the live.
the idea of a party as a wizard, a cleric, a rogue, and a fighter is outdated and doesn't understand what Dungeons and Dragons is like anymore. That worked in first edition, but in this edition, it's not particularly a useful indication.
Oh no, I'm just waiting for the fact that they literally don't have anybody. Like, if there's a door, just like a really stuck door,
Oh yeah,
they're
no.
not going to be able to open it.
Or I could just summon an army of angels.
Guys, Ellen Schonlau on the comments is saying that this party has a definite blind spot.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is doors. Heavy doors.
Anything
Yes.
that there's a boulder in the path, like
There's a large couch wedged into the middle of this living room.
you have to move this couch out of the apartment.
It's magic proof.
Are too weak.
It just reminds me of this picture that I saw. It was a rework of an old D&D module, and it was like a party pointing at a mountain, and the title. And I know I'm gonna waste it here. The title of it was, "How much do you want to bet we have to fight that fucking rock?" So if that's the case, they're probably gonna be in bad shape.
Oh, beg your pardon. Alan confirms that that's the show that Ashley from Critical Role is actually on.
Oh, okay.
But yes, the party does have a blind spot.
Yeah, strength.
Muscles.
Okay,
The
well,
moss-
Noodly arms.
but in all seriousness, guys, this is the cursed 13th episode. What else has curses?
Not quite there yet, because we
Damn.
got one more. We got
Sorry,
one
that
more.
Damn.
that was a beautiful
That
segue.
was an awesome segue.
I know. I
We'll
want you
use
to-
it again later.
Just hold on
We'll
to
edit that out. Dave, edit that out.
it. I need you to hold on to that.
That was such a good segue.
I
I'm
know.
so proud of that for a
I
moment.
know. I
But anyway.
bet it felt really good. Really quick, the other thing in our little roundup of actual play material is the Adventure Zone is going weekly while they're trying to figure out what story they want to do next. They just did episode 0 for their what game are they
Their
playing?
Mothman themed game.
They're playing the game's called Monster of the Week. It's a D20 based system.
Oh yes, I've heard of
And they they're set up in a spooky dooky little skiing town in West Virginia, and it's gonna
I
be
thought the Mothman was in like Vermont or something.
Oh no,
Well,
it's in
okay.
West Virginia.
Oh,
I have
is it?
Mothman feelings, yeah.
I feel like this
I'll
is
tell you
not a
about the
time
Mothman
to
on the car
debate
ride home.
Mothman or origins.
I've
I
heard
would
about the Mothman. I just
Oh, I'll tell you some more. Anyway, Jakey.
I'm really excited. Really excited for that though. It's
say.
gonna
Yes,
be.
come on.
It's great.
I'm also just excited too. I get Adventure Zone every week.
Oh yeah.
But we're gonna see how all that shakes out. But that's in case you didn't know. Now we're just gonna drag and drop. Here, I'll set you up again. You can use it again, Paul.
Was that a
Yeah, so-
dragon pun?
That was a great. They're working out of a cursed small little West Virginia town.
and we're talking
Gee,
about that on the.
I
Cursed
wonder
episode.
what else has curses. Perhaps curses to do with blood. Blood curses.
The Mothman does love blood.
The Blood Hunter.
The Blood Hunter.
Yes, the Blood Hunter has curses. You heard it here first, or you probably heard it somewhere else because, well,
Now,
it's been out for a little bit.
okay, now just by name, the Blood Hunter invokes like vampires and stuff, and that's considered to be a curse of the undead.
Okay, well, as the
Is
person
it
who
like a
actually
vampire?
the person who's actually read this thing cover to cover along with Jake is the Blood Hunter is not so much. I mean, they hunt vampires in the same sense that they hunt all undead,
Oh, okay.
but they're very reminiscent of The Witcher, and also to a lesser extent in Dragon Age, the Grey Wardens, in that they've sort of become a monster in order to hunt other monsters.
Yeah. So, really quick, before we dive deep into the heart of the Blood Hunter, let's talk about the background behind it just a little bit, really quick,
Yeah, of
because
course.
so it's really interesting. I think this actually has to do a lot too with Critical Role being sponsored by D&D Beyond.
Yeah,
Which
it's actually
is-
on their front page right now if you want to go grab it.
Yeah, it's according to according to D&D Beyond, like they've tacked this on as an official class. Basically, D&D Beyond is the official companion app / website for Dungeons and Dragons, and D&D Beyond is also a sponsor of Critical Role. And Matt Mercer, the DM in Critical Role, made the Blood Hunter. So, for right now, I'm going to consider Blood Hunter as an official class, because if it's on the official companion app / website
If it
for
quacks
D&D,
like a duck, and it talks like a duck,
it's probably a
hunts
goose.
demons like a duck.
Probably a goose. Or a swan.
Yeah, I was
Swan
gonna
or
say if it
demon.
hunts demons, it's then by being a demon, it's definitely a goose.
No, if it is a demon, then it's a
Look,
goose
no,
for
that's
sure.
swans. Okay, swans are jerks.
Swans, yeah.
But
Only if you're mean to them.
No, no, they're just jerks. Okay.
Tell that to my cousin, who I hope that he, for
Well, no, it's-
some
if you're
reason,
too
tunes
tall,
into the
swans
show
hate
that
you.
got swan dived. Literally,
Into the best night of your life.
he was riding a jet ski on the lake, and like it was
Yeah, riding
literally
a jet ski
diving
means you're
him.
being an asshole.
No, like okay.
No, we were in the middle of the lake.
We got to stop this.
Anyway.
We're getting off topic.
Swan takes much later. Thanks, Jake.
fight about swans later. All right, this is about the Blood Hunter.
Much like
damn
I
it.
have to fight swans.
So,
in my youth.
guys, Blood Hunter was originally available on the DMs Guild. It was made by Matt Mercer. You could buy it for a really, really low price. And now it is, after 8 revisions or something, I guess it's officially a class. So, Paul, you did the heavy reading.
Yes, I sat down and I read this for like an hour, and I reviewed it, compared it to the Player's Handbook classes.
Before we dive in too deep, and that actually segues into the question that I was just about to ask to you, being the one that did the heavy reading. Since we were talking about they hunt down the undead, how much different is it at the base of that than, say, a cleric, who obviously clerics have
Grave Domain.
like disdain for the undead?
Well, to make a long
Grave
story
domain
short,
clerics, like a necromantic
they are better fighters than clerics are, which is a nice change from, oh, look out, it's Godzilla. He's going to turn into a monster and wreck your face. For all the crap I've given you guys about Blood Hunters, I guess glitches would be the best to describe it, because it's not intended to act this way, but it does.
Yeah, you had some hot takes in the car.
The Blood Hunter is definitely a passable fighting class. It's definitely a fighting class. It's got D10 hit dice. It's got extra attacks. It's got decent proficiencies. It's even got extra damage. It's much better at fighting than a cleric is, and a much less utility class than the cleric is.
Okay.
So let's talk about fluff. Let's talk about flavor, because this one does have some pretty unique stuff. Like Paul mentioned, this is basically The Witcher, which Matt Mercer is a known, like, I don't know if there's a fan name for the community of The Witcher, but
The Witchest.
yeah, but yeah, he's just super huge into The Witcher.
Witcherers?
Yeah, into The Witcher books and games. And this also, invokes the Grey Warden a little bit from Dragon Age. Basically, anybody who drinks a potion to become a little bit different and, might die.
Darkspawn senses tingling.
Yep.
Yeah, Paul said like Jekyll and Hyde kind of stuff. You
Yes.
know, yeah, it's
It's got a bit of that in probably their best subclass, actually, but I like it a lot.
So,
Gone.
let's talk about the fluff and flavor. So the main shtick of the Blood Hunter is they drink a foul potion, might kill them. which would be a really funny way to just end character creation. Yeah, this is my
Oh,
character.
this is Traveler character creation.
Isn't that rather
Oh,
like Deadpool?
you died.
He is experimented on, but that could be considered a foul potion.
I guess the difference there would just be like this is just a one-time drink the potion, and if you live, then
You
if
get
you
a
live,
power.
you're a blood hunter.
Whereas
Right, exactly,
Deadpool
like-
went through like months worth of
Okay, fine.
torture.
Excuse me, Clint. I've only
Okay.
seen the movie, and I was trying
But-
to make this relatable with my limited knowledge.
Yes.
We're not talking
No,
about
it's
Deadpool.
We're gonna
it's a good
okay.
parallel.
This is comic books.
I
We're
paid.
going on to tabletop games.
But anyway, yeah, you drink a foul potion and you get powers.
Yes, this okay. The best way I can describe this, and I'm being, perhaps a bit disingenuous, so please bear with me. This
Maybe you
is
would
to
have
the
balls.
fighter, as the warlock is to the wizard.
Okay.
Like they haven't trained for years and years. They're not like the scion of a family legacy. They drank this potion and they really, really hate undead and demons so much.
Oh, they hate them.
They want to axe them. They want to axe them a question.
Slice them.
So, yeah, you become part of this order of blood hunters, and they basically are the thing that, whatever bumps in the night, they bump back, is basically their fluff, long and short.
Kind of reminds me of the demon hunter in Diablo 3, actually.
They're kind of like the demon hunter from Diablo 3 a little bit, but obviously the Witcher comparison is very strong here because the Witcher, his whole job is I go to small town, I find out what monsters live in the woods, I kill the monsters, I go back into town. If this is like strictly Witcher here, I go back into town, I have sex with everything because that's
Does this
the Witcher
have a high
games.
charisma?
No.
Okay, so yeah, maybe
That's my
not.
problem.
So, yeah, no, this
That's one of my
isn't-
problems with this class. It's very multi-attribute dependent.
But yeah,
We'll get to that.
let's dive into mechanics though. So
At its core, it's a Witcher. In its
So
behavior.
this class
Can't-
has some
can't quite get there.
interesting fluff things, but it falls kind of flat on the mechanical interpretation. I hate saying this because clearly a lot of work is put into this, and I greatly appreciate that this class is not overpowered by any stretch of the imagination.
it's actually a little underpowered.
It's quite underpowered. It's worse than the ranger.
Yeah, you were hating on it big.
Bold.
So my multiple problems with this class are first of all, let's talk about the good things. It's got decent proficiencies. It's got excellent hit dice. It's got extra damage to melee combat. It's even got the extra attack features and so on and so forth. It doesn't have any delayed ability score improvements. It's good.
But that's a double-edged sword. Didn't you say it can only have light armor?
I can have light or medium armor.
Okay.
Which the problem is that most magical armor is full plate armor. Because why settle for
Right.
anything less when you're gonna put like your soul into a set of armor? You're gonna put it into
Right.
like a slightly reinforced wooden shirt, like a woolen shirt.
A thing with like wooden shingles.
Yeah.
Straight
Or
up
you're gonna put it
samurai
into a
style?
suit of plated armor.
Right.
Like
So yeah, unless you find a good blacksmith or some masterwork or
Yeah.
something magic that your DM might throw you a bone for.
Urist McBlacksmith has created a legendary item. Sorry. That's a joke. That's a more obscure joke. The problem I have is that, their saving throws are excellent. They have strength and wisdom. Strength is actually the most used of the core four, the reflex, dexterity, will, and constitution saves. The reflex, will, and fortitude is strength because strength prevents being knocked down, and you use it a lot in actual combat. And they've got wisdom, which is the one that
Prevents you from getting into a fight.
Well, the thing is, the wisdom saves, like
Or
the,
literally going out of your mind.
the dexterity saves are going to hurt you a lot. The wisdom save is going to turn you into a willing slave of whoever cast the spell on you.
Yeah.
Their skills are not bad, but they're not good either.
Right. You said you only get 4 or
You
6?
get two skills
Yeah, out of 6. Yeah, you can pick 2 out of 6.
And they're
which
not
is-
particularly good skills because investigation is something you're not likely to have a lot of points in because you don't have the intelligence.
Yeah, you're not a dang rogue.
Although to be fair, like everybody has terrible skills compared to the rogue or the bard. So
Fact.
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't barbarians get perception?
maybe
I can't remember. Somebody correct me.
See, I always take a background.
Decent starting kit.
Perception.
Their big first
Life
level
hack.
ability,
Yeah.
other than the divine sense of the paladin, is they can do the Crimson Rite, which gives them extra damage dice on their weapon attacks.
That sounds cool. I'm pretty sure that's a ballet.
The problem is it reduces your maximum hit points for as long as the rite is active
There it
by
is.
amount equal to your level.
Ooh, you didn't say that earlier. That's dreadful.
It's actually not that bad because at first level it's only 1, and second level is only 2, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That being said, so you need strength, you need dexterity because you're only in medium armor, or you're using a bow. You need constitution. You probably need wisdom because all your abilities key off wisdom, and you're going to need either intelligence or charisma to use half your skills. So you're using all your skills but one. This is the problem Monk had in 3rd edition.
Well, I mean, the obvious answer is just don't suck.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Sucks to suck.
Yeah, just-
Exactly.
Just from the start, it sounds like this has a pretty high learning curve.
This is not a class of Dark for a beginner. I feel there's a lot of people who could make this work. That being said, the Crimson Right's main problem is that the damage it does is worse than the Hunter's Mark until 6th level, which is my real comparison for this is worse Ranger. Is you can sacrifice maximum hit points to do worse damage than a Ranger does. Yeah, it only gets better than a Ranger at, 9th level?
And
By the point that wizards are flame-spewing gods of destruction?
Yeah, well, it does. You can change the damage type. By the end, you basically have access to all the damage types, so you can,
Actually, you can get around resistances that way. That's a useful benefit. But I feel it's not worth it.
Okay, so let's talk about the
is a hot
subclasses
take,
here, though,
but-
because there are.
Yeah, so Blood Curses, you get to cast one spell once a day.
one.
Nice.
And spell.
Okay, so the subclasses, you've got the Order of the Ghost Slayer, which is interesting.
Sounds awesome.
It lets you hunt
Ghostbusters.
down undead and ghosts. It lets you hit for radiant damage, which is interesting because radiant damage is a fairly unique damage type for low level.
Yeah, I was going to say, that sounds cleric only.
Supernal Strike is arguably the best ability in the Blood Hunter in that it lets you make attacks as a bonus action and turn incorporeal, which is pretty good.
I'm sorry, I thought you just said that it would let you turn incorporeal.
It lets you turn incorporeal, but you can't end your turn inside an object. So you can run through walls as long as you don't end your turn in a wall. That's good. It's a good ability.
Okay, it's like a one-turn gaseous form, yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
The problem is that the 7th level ability, Hallowed Veins, I call this the water-breathing mermaid problem, in that it implies that there's a restriction that there actually isn't. So you think, is there a restriction on this that I haven't noticed? You can't, apparently, it claims that you can use your blood curses to affect creatures without blood, but blood curses say nothing about needing blood to affect a creature. So, was that taken out during development?
Where
I can only
is the
imagine so.
blood?
Gravesight, yeah, you can see through invisible. You can see through magical darkness and invisible. Divination wizards get that 7th level.
Any wizard gets whatever at 7th level.
The Order of the Lycan is interesting because it's a hell of a beat stick.
Yeah, I do love the Order of the Lycan.
As in, like, the epiphyte fungus and chlorophyll thing that grows on the edge of trees.
Lycan.
Oh, okay, never mind.
People turning into
Oh,
wolves.
like a werewolf.
Helen.
Okay, I thought you meant, like, mosses and
No,
lichens.
no. It lets you
Got
turn.
real excited there.
Get out of here with your geology.
It lets you turn into
It's
a sort
a
of
plant. It's not a geology.
a
Even though they
hybrid
grow on rocks,
creature,
too.
like a hybrid creature that lets you beat the heck out of things.
Hell yeah.
And I mean, it lets you use the lycanthropy rules in the monster. It replaces the lycanthropy rules in the monster manual.
So you can turn into what sort of animals? Just wolves?
It just says lycanthropic curse.
Yeah, so
Okay, implies just wolves, but
Well, no.
anything that is a lichen, technically.
yeah,
so,
yeah. So check the monster manual.
yeah.
I want to be a werebear.
Werebear, were-tiger, were-rat, were-boar, were-wolf.
Hell yeah.
Okay, the good thing about the feature, though, is you get a bonus to your melee damage rolls equal to half your proficiency, which is pretty good, all told. Like, it's not bad. You get Resilient Hide, which is you have resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing like the Barbarian, as long as the weapons aren't magical or silvered.
Okay.
You also get +1 AC as long as you're not wearing armor.
Which you might as well not be if you can only wear medium armor.
Also, your unarmed strikes are a weapon that does decent damage, like monk-like damage. Well, in transformation form.
These hands are licensed to do not non-lethal damage, maybe lethal damage.
And the real kicker is if you take any damage, you have to make a saving throw. And if you fail it, you have to attack the nearest target, even if that's one of your allies.
Hacha! You know.
See, what I'm getting
Everybody stay away from that guy.
Yeah, don't get any reach weapons.
now, what I do love
You have to
about
move towards them and attack
the
them,
Blood
too.
Hunter.
Oh jeez. JK.
What I do love about the Blood Hunter is like you can definitely see the utility of this class in a high role playing party,
Oh, yeah.
like where role playing is king and not necessarily encounter.
Because obviously the last thing that Paul just said could make combat an absolute nightmare.
Oh yeah, you could easily TPK your own ass. Yeah.
Feather him with arrows. He just took like 13 attacks, so he's going to make 13. No, it's equal to the amount of damage you've taken, but divided by 2, which is still pretty ruinous if you take 13 arrows. Like, hey, make a DC 26 save or attack your wizard.
All right. So what's the next subclass?
The next subclass is
Yeah, it's
easily
certainly a
the
double-edged
best
sword.
one, at least in my opinion, is the Order of the Mutant,
Yes.
which allows you to drink mutagenic potions and become
An
your
X-Men.
Mr. Hyde to your previous Jekyll, and you get a whole bunch of miscellaneous abilities that you can drink potions of to last until you take your next rest. And they've got interesting abilities. Every single one of them has an upside and a downside, and I think it's pretty balanced. I like this one the best. In fact, if assuming it was the only one allowed, I would definitely say, yeah, go ahead and play a Blood Hunter mutagen.
We just got another comment from Alan, the same person that clarified which show Ashley was on, and is asking, are there any classes that would work well with it if you multi-classed it?
We talked about this.
We did talk about it. You need 2 levels of fighter first. Is my best bet, is because you
And
want.
by we talked about it, we mean in the car, not on the show. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we said 2 levels of fighter to get your action surge and to get your heavy armor proficiency.
Yeah.
Arguably, a level of paladin wouldn't hurt either for the smites.
Mm-hmm.
As always,
a level of paladin or 2 levels of paladin, just to get your smites and a lay on hands and a couple other neat little things. But one of those 2 would do very well depending on where you wanted to go with it. One of the beauties of doing a little dip like that with Blood Hunter is there is no level 20 ability.
There's level 20 ability, it's just not very good.
I thought you said there's only a level 18
The thing is, it's
ability.
hidden on another page all on its own.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, I was going to say, like, it's not that.
it's not a very
great.
good ability. I would recommend taking a second class.
So,
Couple levels instead.
just sitting strictly on, level 1 to 20 Blood Hunter isn't going to be the best damn thing ever. I also think that if you were going for like a really interesting wild build, because the very last option here for a subclass with the Blood Hunter is called the Profane Soul, and that basically just tacks on Warlock spellcasting to what the Blood Hunter already has.
The best kind of
Now
spellcasting.
to be a Debbie Downer, it's very mediocre.
I was gonna say, but isn't it a lot?
Mediocre.
Isn't it a lot lower than what warlocks can actually
You
do?
get 1 spell slot until level 6, and the
Do you
most
at
spell
least
slots
get-
you get.
Oh,
are
that's no
3.
bueno.
Do you at least get Eldritch Blast?
Oh yeah, of course. You get cantrips.
Yay!
Although then again, 1 level of Warlock. Sorry, I believe we had this discussion. Is 2 levels of Warlock will be the same to you as 11 levels of the Profane Soul,
Yeah.
which is hardly a ringing endorsement.
I guess the underlying theme, and to get back and actually like directly answer the question, is it goes back to the whole learning curve thing. This is not a class that we would recommend going from 1 to 20 on, or a beginner. This is probably something that somebody with a decent understanding of the game would be interested in doing.
There are excellent role-playing choices. If you go 2 levels and something else, you can have your character dedicate themselves to the Blood Hunters as a character choice. So
You get I would absolutely adore to DM a session where like a very low level fighter or paladin of mine, or even a rogue or somebody decided to take up Blood Hunter as their class, and then we get to go through the ceremony.
Yeah, see,
Like,
and
that'd be fun.
that's
Part of the
actually a
ship,
comment that I
part
was
of the crew,
just
part of the
about to
ship,
make. This is something like this is a perfect opportunity to throw that fluff and that flavor in there as a DM.
oh, it's it's very well written fluff.
Let
although-
your players do the legwork.
You start off at, like
Perhaps a
me
bit
me
trying too
personally. What
hard.
I would do is I would say that this isn't something that I would necessarily suggest players start with. I would say, yeah, start if you want to be a fighter. Start off as a fighter, and then present that fighter with the option of taking this potion, and
Delicious.
then they go
no,
through
it's a
that
foul
ceremony and
potion.
figuring out if they live or die.
Yeah, it's sort of what's the word? It's trial by fire.
Yeah,
We'll try by foul
absolutely.
potion, which,
So-
which I hope you've all been understanding. I'm spelling FOWLE. Foul potion.
So we still got a lot more stuff to talk about today.
yeah, we've got a lot to
A
get
pretty
through.
big show. So let's final thoughts on Blood Hunter.
I very much appreciate that he did not make it overpowered. Thank you. That said, I think that it needs more to draw a player to it.
Yeah,
It feels like it gives up too much.
I
for
can
it.
agree with that. Like it feels like the flavor in place. It makes me think a lot of Warlock in that it's trying to do where Warlock does spellcasting in a way that's non-traditional. Like Warlock is that one cool guy with a leather jacket and a cigarette who shows up to the wizard, sorcerer, druid, and cleric party.
Did you just basically call the warlock like the Fonz of the spellcasters?
No.
He's the cool one.
Yeah, no, he's John Bender or whatever from the Breakfast Club. All right, the breakfast. Like if we're gonna break down the rest of the Breakfast Club,
Yep.
and the other.
Oh shit! What was that guy's name? What was the actor's name? I'm drawing a blank on it. I should know this.
Well,
It's fine. I've
It was a
actually never seen
Hallmark
it.
Either
year in
way.
the Bender house. You know what I got?
I'm sure we'll get notified in the comments if you guys
Carton
know.
of
Comment
cigarettes.
on it.
but
But
regardless, so
aside-
that's my thoughts on the Pearl Hunter.
Yeah, I feel it's trying trying to do what the Warlock does.
Judd Nelson.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a good mixer. This class.
It's trying to do what Warlock does for spellcasting, and it's really close to pulling it off. I think it just needs, I don't even have really an answer for it, but it just needs a little something else to really push it up into that echelon with fighter, paladin, and monk.
You just need something that draws you to it, really.
Because this is a primary frontline fighting class, and it does things differently, but it's just not like paladin, fighter, monk, which are all very useful. I do actually have to agree with Paul. It does kind of fall back to Ranger territory in terms of in-game stuff, but the fluff is gold. It's
the
Helen-
actual
stuff
role
to add.
playing.
Helen, where
It's
do you stand on it?
trying
I know you're a big fan when it comes to tabletop gaming of the role playing aspect. So where do you stand on this?
Exactly. I think if you're big into role playing, and like Jake said, you can sort of present this as a choice to a player if you're a DM. Again, I think this is for This is mixer only.
It's a sort of prestige class then for those who are.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that is actually something I was going to say. It's one of these rare times where I'm just like this.
This should have been a prestige.
Like
class.
this should have been a prestige class, but at the same, that's a whole other debate.
yeah.
Whether or not those should exist
That could
anymore,
be
I
a
say
whole
no.
nother
Like
episode.
there are days where I miss them, and then there are days where I'm like, I'm glad they're gone.
Yeah, hold on. Let me be a planar shepherd, which is literally just a better druid. The tier 1 class.
All right, so Blood Hunter, the newest official class.
If I may throw
On
my
D&D.
my,
Of course,
my
throw your
last
two
my
cents.
last take on this,
Oh.
I may sound like a broken record, but I'm kind of along the same lines. This is something that if you're a role play heavy player, and you're playing in a role play heavy game, play this. It's awesome. This would be cool.
It will not disappoint as far as flavor goes.
But if you are going to be doing a decent amount of combat, I totally agree with basically everybody else at the table. This is something that two levels in fighter would benefit from, and me having one of my big weaknesses being synergy between multi-classing. This is not something that me personally would play in a game. That's just something that I struggle with. It's something that I'm actually really trying to work on and thinking about synergy between classes.
Yeah.
But that obviously takes a lot of time. I would not recommend this to somebody that is just playing the game for the first time.
This is definitely a class for advanced players.
But if you're coming up with this kick-ass backstory that involves hunting down ghosts and demons and stuff,
Yeah, take this over Paladin if you're not planning to dedicate yourself to an oath. But I think we've said enough on this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've also got a trio of subclasses that were released as Unearthed Arcana this week. But before we go into that, we'd like to remind everybody watching, everybody new who's tuning in, we are the 3DMs podcast. We are doing a giveaway. Once our Facebook page gets to 500 likes, we're going to give away 2 D&D books to 2 people who like the, one book to a person who likes the page, basically. Giving away 2 books, so 2 lucky winners overall. So head to our Facebook page, 3DMs podcast, give us a like, and once we hit 500, we're going to go through. I think we'll make a cute little video. I think I want to try to make a comically annoying D500 and roll it,
That sounds rough.
or just use a number generator.
I
But
think that's a bowling ball.
yeah, probably. You just have to shave off parts
no,
of
what
a
you
bowling
need to
ball and
do
put
is,
numbers in.
Get the vacuum ping pong ball thingy on Powerball.
oh, that's gross. But
no.
great at the same time. But yeah, when we get to 500 likes, we're going to give away 2 books. So if you enjoy the content, if you want to potentially win a book, head over to our Facebook page, 3DMs Podcast, throw us a like, and once we hit 500, we're going to give away 2 books.
Hey, guys, I got a question for you.
Shoot.
You got an answer?
What are the odds that this show's going to end up being one of our extended episodes?
Respectable.
Yeah, this is we've noticed,
A mad uptick
I've
just
been
now, yeah.
I've been looking over to my right here on Helen's iPad that I've seen our viewership skyrocket within the last 5 to 10 minutes.
Let's
Those
let's
of
you
try to
that-
get that audience.
Yeah,
Maybe
those of you that are just now tuning in, welcome. But yeah, there's a pretty good chance that we're gonna end up going an hour and a half, which means we will most likely end up taking an intermission. within
we have a
probably 15
comment.
minutes or
Michael
so.
Pearlstein says, "Did they just say Blood Hunter became official?" We say it became official enough.
We would consider it official, just as Jake said, due to the fact that it has been included in the companion app by Wizards of the Coast.
I mean, it's not
on-
like Wizards of the Coast said, yeah, this is canon now. It's more like Wizards said, it's not canon.
Yeah, it's on D&D.
It did that J.K. Rowling thing.
It's available for free on D&D Beyond now, and that is good enough for me because
Exactly.
D&D Beyond is the official companion app and resource that Wizards wants you to use, and if they're going to list it under their classes list,
Like on the front page.
yeah, and they're going to be like, check it out, I'm going to say it's official.
I mean, shit. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, most of my players asked me when I started running that game on Tuesdays, is Unearthed Arcana on the table? Yeah, totally.
Unless it's Mystic.
Unless it's Mystic.
Poor Mystic.
So if
Prefer
it's in the
pepperoni.
companion, just it's definitely good enough for me.
Yep.
I don't see why not.
So,
But let's get on to the actual Unearthed Arcana here, as a matter of fact.
yeah, so
Yeah.
they released 3 new subclasses. I believe, Paul, I will let you handle
By all means.
the
Druid Circle of Spores. The Circle of Rot.
Mushrooms,
And-
my favorite.
Well, the third kingdom, and the ones that are actually large enough to have more than one cell. You know how it is. There's Animalia, Plantae, Fungi. This is the Fungi Circle.
My favorite.
fun guy.
You're going to be a real fun guy at parties. Oh, I'm so good at this.
Okay, yeah.
So, Circle of Spores is interesting because it's very different from the other circles. Circle of the Moon is obviously shapeshifting and shenanigans at being the best current class in the game. But the Circle of the Land is more of a traditional druid. But the Circle of Spores is the best way I can describe to think of an evil druid without actually just, I'm here to be a jerk.
Yeah.
It's they believe in sort of undeath as a intermediate step between life and death. And they see nothing wrong with the undead as long as they don't stick around too long. So they've got a couple features. They've got new spells. Well, they don't have new spells, but new abilities. Their circle spells they're okay. I've got nothing wrong with them. Animate Dead as a circle spell is always excellent, even if you already own it. Ravenfield's good, so on and so forth. You can take a look if
Cracking
you're
root beer.
seriously confused, but they're good. They're good abilities. Halo of Spores is the keystone ability of the Circle of Spores, and it's quite interesting because it lets you spend your reaction. Because you're probably not going to be opportunity attacking as a druid in the back,
No.
but you can throw spores at somebody within 10 feet of you and hit them for a flat 3, 6, 9, 12 damage.
A straight up
depending on your
pocket
level.
sand.
Just pocket sand full of spores.
Pocket spore.
And that's pretty much that's all it does until you get fungal infestation level 6, which is if
You gotta
kill,
tent it. You gotta tent that house now.
if you kill somebody with your Halo of Spores, they turn into a zombie with 1 hit point animated by the fungus in them.
Ooh.
You know, like The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Just imagine a clicker or something standing up and rushing people.
I've only played the first 10 minutes of that game, and then I quit playing because I was too sad.
That's the problem is that's pretty much it. You also have the ability to throw them down as like a cloud, but
Okay.
whatever. It's a perfectly serviceable subclass. I like it.
Yeah, no, it does add.
wow.
It adds a very weird bend to Druid, which is cool.
Yeah, no, it's been missing fungi, I think.
Still waiting for my
That it
urban
can be,
druid.
I think, honestly, I might take this into account in our world building project for my gnomes.
That'd be something.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about the least sexy of the options added, the Brute.
It's a workhorse.
I
Yeah,
try.
you heard it here first. Fungus is sexy.
So I try to be very accommodating when I look at new subclasses. Like I typically get the idea of what they're going for. I don't get what the hell Brute is supposed to be.
So Brute's the beat stick fighter that people thought they were missing between champion and what's the other one? It's superiority dice, Battlemaster.
Yeah,
That's it.
Battlemaster.
The Brute has excellent damage because they just get to add like an extra die to their damage.
Yeah, they add a D4 at 3rd level, 10th level. They get to add 1D6.
So they're saving
one-
throws, which is incredible. Like, oh
Woof.
my god.
I'm sorry, that's 1d6?
Yeah, 1d6 to their saving throws. Yeah, you know,
Later on the podcast, just,
On
I'm making
a
a face that's
1d20.
appalled.
a 1d20, you just get to add a d6 to your saving throws.
At
like,
7th level, starting at 7th level.
it's
So, yeah,
still
going
an
through.
incredible ability. Like, monks have to
Going
wait till
through, going through.
20th level for that.
Going through. So Brute Force allows you to add a damage dice of various types. you add a D4 starting at 3rd level. At 10th level, it becomes a D6, D8 at 16th, D10 at level 20. Moving on to brutish durability, this is what they were just freaking out about. Beginning at 7th level, your toughness allows you to shrug off assaults that would devastate others. Whenever you make a saving throw, roll 1d6 and add the die to your saving throw total. If applying this bonus to a death saving throw, increase the total to 20 or higher, you gain the benefits of rolling a 20 on the d20.
I should note that's an unconditional addition to your saving throws. That's the equivalent of saying, hey, you get +3 or +4 to all your saving throws.
Which is outrageous. Especially if you're only trained in a few saving
Especially
throws.
given the bounded accuracy of 5th edition.
I'm really, really glad that I came back for that because I read that and was like, oh, well, that's cool.
To be fair, it does replace the champion and battle master
Can you just read that one more time for me, please? I'm sorry.
No,
The way
you
that
get
it
to add a
works?
d6
to
Okay.
all your
to
saving
saving
throws.
throws, including death saving throws.
So
Including
say
death
say you
save.
say you roll
R.I.P.
say you roll a 14 with no bonuses to the death save. I mean, not counting your con that you would add to the death save.
Do you?
Yeah,
Do you? Huh.
Yeah, you do.
News to me.
yeah,
I haven't used enough death saving throws.
yeah.
Don't worry, Paul. I've used a lot of them.
You're trying your
Yeah,
best.
you add your Constitution bonus. So if you literally have a Constitution bonus of 0, you roll a 14, then you pull out your D6 and roll a 6. You just roll a 20. You stabilized.
Yeah. So finishing this bad boy off, devastating critical at level 15. You score a crit. You gain bonus to that weapon's damage roll equal to your level in this class. So that is at
pretty good.
15th level. Yeah, that's just a free 15 damage when you crit before we even start doing this stuff.
To be fair, you have to crit first. It's a 5%
Oh,
chance.
But still.
Baby.
Well, also too, I house rule my crits to be a little bit beefier because we don't like 3/5 here in this house, but I do miss 3rd edition criticals
With
really
the
bad.
double 20 instant death.
I just miss really big damage, because that's a really exciting moment for the players when they get a crit, and it's a really terrifying moment for the players when the DM gets a crit. So.
We'll ever talk about why critical hits are good or bad.
But
in another
so
episode.
last ability, they get Survivor. Long story short, what it is, you get. Hang on. Oh, I misread it. Okay, I was like, whoa, that's really good. At 18th level, you attain the pinnacle of resilience in battle. At the start of each of your turns in combat, you regain hit points equal to 5 plus your Constitution modifier. You don't gain this benefit if you have 0 hit points or if you have more than half your hit points left. So it's
when you're below half, you fast heal.
yeah. I initially read that as you just are automatically regenning at level 18. I'm
Oh
like,
my god.
It's like
Okay,
some
you're
damn
a-
Wolverine
So
shit.
at level 18, you turn into a troll. You heard it here first.
Or Wolverine.
We got a comment from Kent Aberdeen who said game ? I assume that they mean are asking about what
Yeah, this is
specific
Dungeons
game
and
we're
Dragons
talking
5th
about.
edition.
We are speaking specifically about 5e right now.
Yes, 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons.
In this house, mostly Jake and Paul hate and disrespect 3.5.
Well,
You
I
know,
used to like it, but unfortunately,
New things have come
they
along.
made poor choices.
There is a new p word swear word.
We're not going to talk about that which shall not be named.
yeah, we have.
We have other hot takes.
that which has
listen.
ruined the RPG market forever.
Listen. We have something better to talk about.
Yes, we do.
The most interesting addition in the this Unearthed
I
Arcana.
don't know. I like the brute fighter honestly, but
It's
we'll talk about that obviously when.
I'm a fan of the brute as well.
I kind of like. There's aspect. Long story short, to sum up Brute really quick, there's aspects I like, but it still just feels like a barbarian-y fighter.
I think it adds a nice niche. It's quite It's quite good and balanced, honestly.
All right.
Still worse than Battlemaster, unfortunately.
Yeah, Battlemaster is sent
Quite
by it.
good.
So
Last but not least, Clint, I believe you checked out this one.
No, I actually checked out the druid and the brute.
Dang.
oh dang, well, you just get to sit there and shock and awe, baby.
I can give my hot takes about either of those two, but no, I did not read the last
All
one.
right, so School of Invention.
Yeah, for once, he was
Wizards.
driving, and that's why I'm drinking and having puns.
Wizards get everything nice as usual.
Well,
Actually, this one's pretty bad, but
no, this one I don't know. This is really cool. Like I thought, War Magic the War Mage that they added for Xanathars was kind of meh. Like, there's some cool stuff about it, but there isn't a new sexy thing for a wizard to do. This is
yeah, I'm listening. Go on.
this is attractive.
I'll listen to how your take on it, and then I'll obviously give my
Well, as
mean
we
response.
as we discussed on the whip on the way here,
In the whip.
on the whip. Not in the
I don't
book
know
on
if
the
your
way here.
white Escape is as cool as my
I
Dadmobile.
refer that my
We're
white
not fighting
escape,
about cars. We're talking about wizards.
It's an escape. Its name is Dory. Thank
All
you.
right. So
It's an escape.
wizards and
I don't care
invention
about your escape.
because artificers were not enough.
Yeah, no, it. Basically, they took artificer and they rolled it into a wizard class.
Do you inherently have to play a gnome to play this class?
No, but you should.
You probably should.
So they get a couple of things. They get tools of the inventor, which proficiency in a couple of tools of your choice. That's a thing. The I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but the Arcana. Arcano-mechanical. That's a mouthful. The Arcano-mechanical
armor.
Yeah, is really sweet.
Yeah.
That is my favorite part of this class. So, Paul, break us down.
So the arcano-mechanical armor it gives you the ability to wear a suit of light armor, which you get proficiency in it, I believe. Oh, right, yeah, it's part of the earlier thing is you get proficiency in it. But that being said, the arcano-mechanical armor, you touch any suit of light armor, and it becomes, you have to attune to it. You get proficiency to it, you attune to it, and while wearing it, you get your dexterity. It's 12 plus your dexterity modifier. It weighs 8 pounds, and you get resistance to force damage, which is exciting.
Neat.
It's not a thing we've explored before because force damage is supposed to be a thing that you have no resistance to.
What is force damage? Like force
Magic
lightning,
missile.
as in like, and now young
Magic
Skywalker.
missile.
Oh, okay.
magic missile.
Yeah,
The
like,
thing that
and now
knows
young
is-
Skywalker,
You
you would
must
die.
die.
Yeah, okay. That kind of force damage. Okay,
It's
tight.
it's supposed to be damage that nothing can resist. Like you can hit a ghost with a magic missile. You can hit anything with a magic missile, but you get resistance to it because why not? It's interesting, certainly. It's definitely better than I can scribe spells for half cost, like every other wizard tradition gets.
Yeah.
But their real benefit, other than getting to wear light armor as a wizard,
Michael
is reckless casting.
Michael Bird asked, "Does it apply to piercing damage as well?" No, it is only force damage.
Just force damage. You have resistance to it. Which is
So
weird.
by I guess to kind of clarify that there is a difference between like bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, and force. I mean, I understand how those could be deemed as like a
They
force
seem-
damage,
yeah.
but this is a specific type of damage.
Force is a very rare type of damage.
Yeah,
like
it doesn't
psychic.
it doesn't happen very often.
It's pretty much the only way you'll see it is magic missile.
Yeah.
But you have resistance to that. So but again, their real feature is reckless casting, which is, I guess the best way to describe it is they saw the arcane, like the wild magic sorcerer was not getting enough use. So they
So
said,
they're- Try
huh.
this.
It actually makes me
try
think
out the
of
wizard.
if you look in Volos at goblins, there is a adorable, and by adorable I mean absolutely hilarious and terrifying goblin. So goblins refer to magic as booyag. And a booyag is a sorcerer goblin, but every time he casts a spell, he has to roll on the wild magic table.
So it's like the Pokemon move Metronome.
yeah.
Except every time he casts a spell, something bad or hilarious or good happens.
For
Well,
those
yeah,
of
the
you,
Pokemon spell Metronome is you randomly
you
play
use
a
randomly
spell.
different-
You randomly
slightly
play an attack. Yeah.
for those of you that have played, I don't know if it's in the other Elder Scrolls games, but have done the Daedric quests in Skyrim. It is essentially the Wabbajack.
Yeah, it's in Oblivion and Morrowind. I haven't played
Okay.
Tigerfall, but and who cares about Arena?
I mean,
honestly?
I didn't go as far into those games enough to get the Wabbajack, but it's basically the Wabbajack. You cast a spell and cross your fingers and hope to God it's something useful.
You got to play the Wob.
Yeah,
Jack in
if it's a
Oblivion,
buff,
it's
you're just
great.
like, oh, well, I guess.
But Morrowind's weird.
Moving on.
I love Morrowind, but okay. So reckless casting, you can give up a spell slot to roll 1d10 and see what happens. Honestly, I don't think this feature is very good, but it's very funny.
See what happens from like a table of what?
So like I roll. There's a table for each spell level up until 5th level.
Okay.
Even if you use a 6th or highest level spell, it just goes on the 5th level, and you just roll 1d10. And for example, let's go through the 2nd level spell. Say you throw away your web spell because you don't think it's going to be particularly useful here. You have a chance to cast Blur, Darkness, Enlarge, Reduce, Gust of Wind, Invisibility, Levitate, Acid Arrow, Scorching Ray, and Shatter, or the ability to cast 2 spells.
That's a really wild grab bag.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Again, you cross your fingers and hope for something awesome.
That said, the good thing about these is all these spells are at least combat relevant. You're not
Yeah,
going to
right?
get scrying or
Yeah.
whatever.
Or like mending, message,
All right.
They're all combat
dancing
relevant.
lights. Yeah.
So, what else do we get after your mad grab bag of spells?
So alchemical casting allows you to add extra spell slots in order to alter your spells, namely to change the damage type or just add 2d10 extra damage.
Okay.
Which is pretty useful because, I mean, getting to change... I'm going to use acid, a damage type that nothing has resistance to except for devils.
Devils have resistance to why?
Yes, they do. In fact, Jake learned this last week.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Found it out the hard way.
Yeah.
They also don't like kung fu.
They don't like kung fu. So, again, that's it. It's... I feel like this is something that could be better implemented. It's a fun thing, but it doesn't feel impactful enough. Like, giving up a spell slot to just change your fireball from fire damage to cold damage seems kind of overkill. Like,
Yeah.
why?
All right.
Unless you're fighting something completely immune to fire.
What's their big ability?
But lastly, they have the ability to bonus action. They can change whatever spells they want once. Like, they can change a spell. It's like, I don't think this web is going to be very useful. I'm going to change it out for invisibility. They can do it. Bonus
That's pretty
action.
good.
And lastly, they have the ability to, whenever they throw a spell into the random number generator and hear the slot machine rolling, they can change a first level spell into a second level spell, and a second level spell into a third level spell, and so on and so forth. Which actually makes it very worth using, because if you're not going to use that web spell, you might want to swing the chance of getting a fireball.
Yeah.
I guess so. Yeah, shoot.
That's actually pretty useful. But that being said, I think this is worse than the standard archetypes.
How so?
It's too random. That's the problem with wild magic is you throw a spell in and you get, oh wow, you get shatter, you get a whole 2d8 damage. It's too hard to control. You can't plan for it. And it seems like they're trying the wild magic thing, but again,
I've seen scattercast and end up disastrously when they meant to cast it.
yeah.
Oh, you mean when Tristan accidentally killed like 30 villagers?
Yeah, because he casted it in the
I was
middle
there.
of
I
a
seen it.
crowd. Yeah.
That's
It's like, yeah, I'm just going to cast Shatter right here. And then, like, afterwards, I was like, yeah, like 20 people just fall to the ground dead. He was like, what the hell?
That's
So-
what you get.
So
Read the description of the spell, man.
as my
on.
good friend Jake said, the armor is excellent,
Love you, Tristan.
but it's not magical. It never improves. And well, I mean, it's magical, but it's not like +1 or anything. It never gets any extra benefits. And frankly, the benefits for defense this thing gives is worse than the abjuration benefits.
But
and you
it's
still get better abilities with abjuration. True.
Yeah, roleplay wise.
works on Rule of Cool, and any DM worth their salt can just figure out a way to upgrade it over time.
That's all my hot takes about this. Is it's a fun class. It's not. I would be more upset about this, about Wizards getting their 9th subclass, if it was very, very good.
Yeah,
But it's not.
very fair.
Yeah.
You have hot takes on wizards.
I don't like Wizards,
He is the anti-mage.
despite the fact that I play them.
So, overall, how do we feel about the entire new 3 subclasses they added? It's good to see
like
they're finally getting back on the subclass.
Spore
horse.
druids are sweet.
I really
They're all
like
good.
the idea behind the Spore Druid.
I mean,
I
Yeah, they're
love
nifty.
that idea.
as much as I just spent like 10 minutes giving the Wizard of Invention some harsh language, they're all good. I would allow
Yeah.
them in my
Dressing down.
games that
Yeah.
fit. Like, the Brute is excellent. It's a new flavor and style of play for the fighter. The Spore Druid isn't bad, certainly. It's sort of
The idea is super cool.
it's super cool. In fact, I'm probably going to use it in my most recent
yeah, it can
game.
use some tweaking certainly, but
Yeah.
I'm sure. But the idea is
And honestly, for all the difficulty I've given Wizard of Invention, it's definitely fun. Spin the
Yeah.
wheel, make a deal.
Yeah,
it's the fantasy gashapon.
You can hear slot machines rolling in the background as you throw in your second level spell, and ding 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 ding, invisibility.
Garfield the
for your
Duels
entire
Warlock
party.
is ready to duel.
So is that basically the gist of the Invention Wizard?
Yeah, that's
and
pretty
those
much
3
it.
subclasses. Well, real quick before we move on, I've been monitoring the comments here. I didn't want to just like jump away from what we were talking about in the middle of the subclasses. We got Michael Bird, same guy that asked about the piercing damage and force damage. He said, what/when is the giveaway? To answer that, the giveaway is any 2 5e books that are non-special edition.
To clarify, that is
When?
2 people
Two
get
people
one
get
book
one
each.
book.
Get one book. Yes, we're
Non-special edition.
We're going to figure out how we're going to do that and how the odds are, going to be.
And obviously, we're not included in this.
Yes,
Oh,
no,
whoa, it
we
was
are
my
not
own
included to this,
contest.
and I would even go as far as to say that like family members should be.
Yeah,
exempt
well, I mean, like
too.
us 4 and also like Nacha and our
Yeah,
favorite friend
Nacho's
Fado.
not winning a book.
Nacho
Sorry,
and
buddy.
Fado.
Moving on.
Sorry, not.
Moving
But
on.
anyway,
Either
yeah.
way, and then when we're going to be doing the drawing once our page hits 500 likes, so it just comes down to when we get
Yeah.
that. So
It's entirely dependent.
help us
How
help you.
good.
If you want the chance to win the book, share this. Tell your friends about us. Check us out on Facebook, SoundCloud, make sure to like the Facebook page because that's when we're going to be doing the giveaway.
Honestly, for the level of investment you have, a chance to get a free book for absolutely nothing is pretty good.
Yeah.
And as Kent says in the comments, fun is what is important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why we do this in the first place. That's why we have a hobby like this.
So,
Although I think that's probably directed to the.
all right, gang, we've got about 30 minutes left of show, but we are going to take a quick break, kind of go regather our thoughts. Again, one more time, we're doing the giveaway. So, to everybody who's new and watching the show,
Please like our
thank you,
page.
Thank you for tuning in. And if you're enjoying the content, as Paul said, go head over to our page, 3DMs Podcast. Give us a like on Facebook. Once we get to 500, we're going to give away 2 books to 2 lucky people. So
Our website will finally be live tonight or tomorrow as well, with graphics and resources and links to eventually links to all of our previous episodes.
Also, thank you guys all for the viewership as well as the comments. We
Greatly appreciate it.
love the
This is why we do it live. We love to interact.
I think it's kind of indicative of being a DM. Commenting on this and asking us questions makes us think on the fly.
Yeah.
And, you know, it really drives the entire purpose behind the show in the first place.
So, when we get back from our break, we're going to go take a quick 5-minute break. But when we get back, we're going to talk about, we're doing New Year, New World. We're talking about world building a lot, too, on the show right now this month. And we're going to talk about inspiration and, just a bunch of
Where
personal
we get
takes.
our ideas, yeah.
Personal takes on how to implement ideas that you might get from elsewhere. But we're going to go take 5 minutes. We'll be right back, guys. Please stay with us. We'll be back soon.
We love you.
Thank you, guys.
Love's a bold word, Clint.
I love our fans. I love them.
I love Lamb. I love Lamb.
I love our fans. Kira, Gabe, Kent, and looks at hand. Chips. Nacho? Oh my gosh, I'm destroying the studio.
Places, everyone.
I just took a.
Yeah, I just did that also myself. We're just destroying the whole studio here.
Yeah, we'll fix the studio later.
It's a studio.
We're coming back, y'all. We didn't forget about
Sorry
you.
about the delay, guys. We are back. We just had to refocus on our mission goal.
A little break. You know, everybody needs a little resty poo.
I had to think about what we're doing.
Don't give away all the trade secrets.
Go ahead and sit in your corner and think about what you've done.
Don't use my own joke against me. So, all right. We're back one more time. I know everybody who's been with us, but just in case there's any new viewers, we're going to plug the giveaway one more time. We're doing a giveaway. If you enjoy our content or you're brand new and you're just seeing our faces, well, guess what? If you go and like our Facebook page, and once we get to 500 likes, we're going to give away 2 D&D books to 2 different people, 1 book per person, obviously. No special editions is the only thing, but any 5e book you want, we're going to do a giveaway. So head over to our Facebook page, 3DMs Podcast, throw us a like, and once we hit 500, we are going to give away some books.
We'll even sign it for you if you want.
And to be specific, this is a book that you request. We will contact you directly.
We're just going
and
to give you a
tell us.
random book. Like,
Well, yeah.
It's always
This is-
useful to
this
have another
is-
player's handbook.
This
But
this is an amazing giveaway for anybody
New-
from
new DMs.
somebody who has almost any book that they could imagine, because what DM doesn't want 2 players handbooks?
That's actually true. I wish I had 6.
So
Yeah, I need mine back, by the way.
let's not forget, of course, our lovely sponsors, Podcast Detroit.
Yeah, we recorded
Whose
the
beautiful
podcast,
studio
the
we've been
Detroit
knocking the
studio
foam
that we,
panels off of.
yeah,
Our
that,
hosts.
yeah, that we knock the walls off. If you're in the Southeast Michigan area, you live here, you want to start your own podcast, check out Podcast Detroit. They're actually doing free podcast weekends here coming up, so you can get in for free and try your own show out.
This is actually a really cool question. Thomas just commented. I'm sorry, I would say your last name, but I'm sure I would butcher it. Says, what apps do you guys use to find game/players? I don't have a lot of time, but I still want to play D&D. This is the first time seeing this podcast. Me personally, Roll20.
Roll20.
Roll20
to play.
and
Sponsors
actually
Roll20.
Roll20 is really, really cool for somebody who doesn't have like the time to be like, okay, I'm gonna set aside, like for me, I'm gonna set aside Wednesday nights to play in a game, Tuesday nights to run a game. You can go onto Roll20 and set specific filters to multiple different tabletop RPGs that you would want to play. The frequency at which you would play, anywhere
nights you
from
wanna play,
weekly,
or days or
bi-weekly, monthly, and even one-shots.
And in the time zone.
And in the time zone, absolutely, yeah. They'll have it list. You set those parameters, and then it'll list all of the games that people who are running
Are looking for
have
players.
that are looking for players. Or if you're looking to run a game, it's the same thing. You make a post. You say, "Hey, I want to run a one-shot." For example, I had one where a DM wanted to run the module of The Haunt as a one-shot. We ended up playing twice, but I mean, still, it's pretty much the same thing. He was like, "We're going to be playing on this day at this time. I need 5 to 6 players. Comment on this or message me about what character you would want to play. Give me a short description."
Yeah. So Roll20 is a great asset. Fantasy
Yeah.
Grounds also does pretty much the same thing. It's more your flavor, depending on what you like. Both are great websites. I think everybody in this room prefers Roll20, but I've
Yeah.
That's
played
because I'm
Roll20's
poor.
free.
I'd if I had the money, I'd pay for Fantasy Grounds, but I'm sorry, Fantasy Grounds.
I have messed with
cost
Fantasy
money.
Grounds just a little bit, and it's still pretty good.
Thomas says, "Sweet, thanks, guys. That's good info for me."
So
Best luck out there, Thomas.
we're going to get into the, I guess, the not really specific kind of stuff. This is more of discussion and thought.
The actual DM part of this DM's
Yes,
podcast.
this is
For once.
this is the talk show portion.
Yeah,
if
where
you
we
will.
just talk to each other about stuff. So we're doing New Year, New World. We're all collectively working on building a new fantasy setting
Us
together.
4 plus our sometimes host Nacho as well.
And the information that we will be coming up with that world will be posted on our page. So if you guys want to use our
One-
campaign setting,
Yeah, a
it'll be
link to
available.
our website. Yep.
Once
yeah,
it's
when
actually
when
Once
the
the-
entire
once
setting is
everything is
complete,
up.
we will post the entire fantasy setting. But
Which
Listen
will take
along
which
with
will
us.
take a while, but as the entire theme of the world building segments that we will be doing all throughout this month say, it takes time to do this kind of thing.
Especially when you're doing it between 5 people. It's
Take
easier
your
when it's
time.
all just in your
Yeah.
head.
yeah,
Do
it's a
it
whole
right.
lot of meetings that none of us are getting paid for. But we're gonna
That's the
talk-
car ride.
Yeah. We're talking about inspiration today. And last week we had a lot of really good questions on both inspiration, and we also had a really good discussion in the return car ride home about what is appropriation and what is flat out stealing, and we thought we'd actually discuss that on the show this week.
And those are the topics that personally I really enjoyed talking about because like I said in the last episode, there is a fine line between stuff like that.
It's a tricky business.
Yeah. So, inspiration, right? You're a DM. I remember when I was a young DM.
Damn it.
Who's got the sad piano for me? Who's got that G key?
Do.
Believe it or not, I can play the piano. But we don't have one in here.
I know.
I can too.
Neat.
Dueling
So,
pianos one
when I
show,
was a young
Paul.
DM,
Let's do it.
when I was a young DM, I had I fell into a pitfall that several DMs fall into, in that everything must be original. I have to come up with the most uniquest, dankest stuff. This, just incredible.
I'm sorry. Ken Boatner just commented. We've had him comment a few times, and he said, "Meetings you don't get paid for. That is D&D."
Oh God, he's so right, and I hate myself for it.
Thanks, Kent.
I
You're a gem.
don't think that you could be more correct.
So,
I got.
Perhaps hurting toddlers.
but
Sorry, players.
so when I started out, obviously my big focus was on making sure everything I did was like trying to be unique and all this stuff, and it just wound up being really annoying because like I was just trying to write like the greatest plot nobody had ever seen ever, and
Exposition is hard.
I totally missed the point on what being a DM is. It's cooperative storytelling. So that being said, the beauty of being a DM is you can take things that you are remarkably like influenced by or that you think are just amazing, and you can take them and you can twist them into your own way. So, I mean, I guess we'll start with Clint because we had a brief discussion about this with you.
Yep.
And as far as your main inspirations, they're actually pretty limited.
Yeah, I mean, it probably comes down to the fact that I haven't been DMing for very long, and I mean, I'm kind of that guy in the caught up in the mainstream when it comes to the fantasy type of things that I'm involved with.
You'll become jaded
The
soon enough.
fantasy.
But yeah, I mean, my two big ones are without a doubt Elder Scrolls and Lord of the Rings. Like, for example, I've multiple times in over running games over Roll20 and using Discord for the voice chat in the group or in the Jukebox channel. Multiple times I've gone to YouTube, found a link for Skyrim music, and played it as ambiance for whatever
Ye
scene I
Olde
was trying to
Tavern.
set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
creepy
there was
ruins, yeah.
there was an hour-long thing that was just, it was literally the audio from Skyrim that when you would walk into one of the taverns, it was fire cracking, people talking, and like
Drinks
a
clacking,
bard
you
playing
know.
in the corner. Yeah. I mean, is that kind of an easy way out? Is it not a very obscure reference? Absolutely, but at the same time, like, it got the point across.
I mean, the thing is that Elder Scrolls has 2 layers. You can do the like the obvious layer, and you can do the you're the whole world is actually a song, and memories are water. Oh, and
exactly.
Well, also, you bring
you
up the
can
point,
dream
Clint.
your way out of the world and become greater than a god. Like, yeah.
You bring up the point, Clint, also that your players aren't super experienced in playing D&D, and so this is stuff that's
most of my players
with
are
the
not
exception of like
super
Jake and stuff.
experienced. Jake and Nacho are the two most experienced
Right, but
players
they're also
that I've played
DMs
with.
on this show, so
Exactly, they're two very what I would consider hardcore hobbyists of
Right.
this. Whereas a few
your frat
a few-
brothers say.
Well,
Yeah,
I
are just
haven't.
picking this up for the
I'm
first
thinking
time.
about trying to get some of
Or,
those
yeah, sorry,
guys
Nacho
into
was
it,
with the
but
frat brothers, yeah.
my other friends that I run for, they enjoy the game nonetheless, but they're very casual gamers.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, this
So
is-
I want to kind of use references that they know, because I know that like me
Exactly.
that's I know that they would enjoy that. I know that I enjoy it. I know that all of us understand where it's coming from.
They sort of get the cultural nuances that you're trying to get across.
It makes it easier for a campaign setting to start to flow when you're using inspiration that you know that your players understand.
So,
Right.
quick question:
Okay.
Was it Matthew Koval that said you're only as good as the sources you take?
That is where I heard. He said that
So to paraphrase,
your
because
skill, your skill as a DM is how obscure your references you steal from
yeah,
are.
no, this is hard paraphrasing. We'll look up the exact quote.
Yeah.
because I know what episode it's in of Matt Colville's amazing How to DM web series on YouTube.
Check
But-
it out, guys.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that, by the way, and you're trying to DM,
It is
watch
amazing.
that. Like every time I look at the 5e group or on Reddit, and someone's just like, "Hey, I'm trying to be a DM. How should I start?" You just slap them in the face with Koval. But
Control V. There you go.
so
We can't all be the old grognards who have been role playing since they were 10. So
someday,
you
Paul.
don't want to be that kind of
Someday.
guy.
So
Nerd.
It's
But-
a long and lonely road.
at
So-
ourselves.
Yeah.
no, so where it sits though for as far as your references. That quote is very, very accurate. When I started out, I was trying to make sure everything wasn't inspired by something, but as time went on, and I let some postmodernism take effect, it became very apparent that you can do anything that you've seen done, and as long as you do it in either a way that is respectful or you do it in a way that it's been changed in about 2 degrees, and I'll explain how changing something in degrees works in a second, you can basically take anything and make it yours.
So I want to say another thing briefly about this, which is linked to that is Ben Yahtzee Crosshaw said, sometimes things are popular because they're good. So you can't you don't want to go away. It's like, I'm going to subvert every single possible idea that people have done, because sometimes those tropes, those ideas are there for a reason.
I mean, I know that we're throwing out a lot of quotes here, but I've taken songwriting classes before, and my songwriting instructor, one of the quotes that sticks with me through all creative outlets, period, is creativity does not happen in a vacuum.
No, it does not.
There's no way to come up with some sort of creative idea that is not influenced by something.
Yeah,
As we say in science, we are standing on the shoulders of giants.
yeah, of course. But finish what you're saying, Jake.
Well, actually, really quick, I'm going to respond to
Yeah,
Mason Whittle.
let's get to that question first.
So, really quick. So Mason asks, he's a first-time viewer, how many of you DM in person or online or even both? And if you do DM online, do you feel like it isn't the same experience as sitting around a table with people and feeling the energy of the group? So we're going to do this.
A really
This
long
is a
discussion.
this is a
That's
really
a
good question.
complicated question, Mason.
That
Thank
is
you.
that is a great question.
It's
No,
a great
thank you.
topic for a show.
Yes.
But to sum it up briefly, because I think we will probably I know
Probably
that's on
next
the
episode, honestly.
It's
Yeah.
somewhere on the docket of big topics, because
Yeah.
we got a
Next 5
big old
episodes at
Google
least.
Doc of-
Online versus in-person tabletop gaming.
But finish what you're saying, Jake.
well, just to answer his question, I actually have. It depends more on the people. I've
Yep.
run some in-person games, and they're bad just because the players are always on their phones or dicking around. And then I've run online games that are amazing because everyone's super into it, but at the same time it flips. I've run. It all depends on the people.
Sometimes you catch your players playing Steam games.
Personally, my experience, I struggle to run the game that I run on Roll20, and once that leg of this campaign comes to an end, I'm going to probably stick to in-person game for a while.
Yeah.
Because, the games that I've had in person, I've never played a game online that I've actually had a legitimate emotional response to. Whereas in person, when we're all sitting around the table, and as you said, the feeling and the energy of the group definitely does play a part if you play, especially in a role play heavy setting.
Or especially if you've been
So-
playing for a long time too, and there's
Paul,
a plot
really
that you're
quickly, because
invested in.
You are the
Grognard.
you primarily play online, but also too we've got about 20
You are
minutes
you
until
are
we wrap up
grandpapa
the show,
around the
so-
table.
So get ready for the spiciest of takes,
The Elder
viewers.
Statesdean.
I mostly play games without any voice chat at all. I play almost exclusively games which are nothing but writing at each other.
I love it. Yes. Give it to me.
That being said, it dramatically slows down combat. I would not recommend it for very combat-heavy games, but the roleplay is exceptional. These people can think through what they're saying and how their character will react.
Yes.
So I get like multiple paragraph summations of how their character reacts and why.
I love
and
it.
for games, those games I don't usually play D&D because D&D is a very combat-focused game.
Yeah.
All told.
Right.
But for things like Fate, which is mostly wordplay shenanigans, I play almost exclusively text-based because we can talk about things with bolded sentences. This is important. This is not important. This is my description of why I'm doing this and how. That said, personally, I'm going to go against the grain. I feel more energy online than I do off because people feel very awkward pretending to be somebody they're not in person, I find, unless you find very experienced role players.
That's very
So
true.
people online
Yeah.
can sort of ignore that barrier because, I'm
You're already someone
Bazrook
else.
the dwarf.
All right. So,
But you are Bazrook the dwarf, Paul.
yeah, so well,
This is definitely
it's a complicated answer,
this
Mason.
this is
Again,
a topic.
I think we're
for
gonna
a
go into
show.
role playing and actually like DM charisma in another episode at some point. But yeah, we're gonna get into this. Don't you worry. Tune in.
He says sorry.
Soon.
Mason says sorry, guys. Just always curious about this, given that I normally DM in person.
Don't be sorry.
But have moved to online since
love
our
talking.
group now lives in 3 states. LOL. We'll be sure to try and catch your episode about it. Thank you for answering.
Don't be
Thank
sorry. It's a great
you,
question.
Mason.
No,
So-
that is a fantastic
And it's true,
question.
like-
That's the questions like that.
Jake
are,
and Paul play with people online from all over the world.
Oh yeah, I play
Yeah.
with a guy from Rhode Island. I play with a guy from Mexico, from Italy, from Russia, from so on and so forth.
Suko Blia.
Let's not mock him. He's a good guy.
No, Moss is a great guy.
He's Italy, but
Oh, damn. I thought that was your Russian guy.
All right, guys, we got 13 minutes.
but let's talk about
Till the end of
inspirations
this.
because we've kind of got
inspiration.
distracted.
So Jake, you've already got some written down there.
Yeah, go on.
All right, so when it comes to inspiration, though, so getting back to back to our topic before we got that excellent question, when it comes to me for inspiration, I literally will take anything that I can get my grubby hands on, as long as I can make it just different enough.
Make it work,
yeah.
Dungeon Masters.
So a really good example of something that I steal from all the time when it calls for it, but it's never been particularly called out, or it will just occasionally, everyone's like, oh, this is kind of like this, is Silent Hill. Like, is just one thing. So whenever, because every now and again, I'd like to say probably about every 15 sessions or so, I'm feeling in the
More like
mood
10,
to
honestly. That's my personal opinion. From what I've seen of you.
I feel like
Let your hot takes
every
here.
major topic
This
that
is-
we start talking about opens up another can of worms to
Okay, this
another
is-
major
this is
topic
a
we could talk
ridiculous-
about.
Anyways,
discussion.
Jake uses Silent Hill.
leading into horror in D&D.
do. Yeah.
That's another.
So whenever I do horror in D&D, or also as Paul likes to refer to it, spooky.
I'm sorry for that. That was.
Yeah, you're a jerk.
Do you know how many times I tried to do spooky shit and Nacho would sit online and go spooky stuff and
Look,
then just totally negate everything I did?
See, that's how it started.
That's going back to Mason's question. This is really great for playing spooky stuff. It's great to play in person. You know, maybe like around
Yes.
Halloween in a basement. But when you're online and somebody can just post like ghost gifs, ruins the mood.
It's,
Anyway, Jake.
But I love to steal from the Silent Hill mythology because, like, Silent Hill 2 was a great game. The rest of the series, questionable. But even then,
hey,
even though
Silent Hill
there's
1 was okay.
No, Silent Hill 1 was great. But trust me, like, I love the whole series and I have to defend it all the time, trust me. But there's a lot of great stuff hidden in that series, and I just will take from it all the time. In terms of, they've got a lot of great stuff for cults, a lot of great motivations and characters who, if you add a dimension to them or add a little bit more to make them more relatable, they become better characters. A character who I literally transitioned and used as an enemy for an older party was in Silent Hill 2, or Silent Hill 3, there's this character named Claudia Wolf, and she is the head of a cult, and her whole goal is to basically give birth to evil God. A little excessive.
That's
I
some
know.
Lovecraft stuff. Innsmouth horror right there.
Yeah.
Extra as shit.
Yeah, exactly. And so I took the Claudia Wolf idea, and then I literally changed the name to Volk, which is it's some
German for people?
No. There's
Another character.
no, it's I can't remember. I'm blanking on the language right now, but it is a translation for wolf. Made it a dude, and then instead of bringing about God, it was or giving birth to God, it was becoming God. But used a lot of the same talking points in that it was a responsibility, because Claudia Wolf's character was like they had a certain responsibility to the people that they thought they were serving to bring this God back. And so when I did this character, I just, changed a couple of things, but I kept a lot of the same talking points because Claudia Wolf throughout the game does make a very compelling argument about why the God should come back. Although you're always at the same time, you're just like, lady, you crazy. You should no.
That
Oh, no,
does not
honey,
sound
what are
safe.
you doing?
Oh no,
Exactly.
baby.
So that's a pretty quality example of like something I've used from Silent Hill. Like I've done the fog, and I've done unsettling things that like little bits of jump scares taken from Silent Hill because
Oh, I don't know. Maybe walking into a murder scene and seeing runes scribed on the wall and just being like, what the shit actually just happened in this room?
That could also be Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Clint.
no, that was I don't even know what that first session I ran with you guys was because that was a lot of off the top of the dome. But
Thomas, again.
Alterzitz.
Well,
is how you say that.
Let's not say
How do you say
again.
it?
Our friend.
Thomas.
Alterzitz. Anyway,
The
he
next.
says,
Okay.
I use people in real life as inspiration.
Kim Jong-un.
Bad choice.
As an evil
Not a
warlord.
bad choice.
Fair, fair.
I don't
don't-
think
please
that
don't
that's a
nuke us,
bad.
Ken.
I don't think that that's a bad choice at all. I mean, look at the way that like movies in the '80s used the Russians. Hell yeah, I would use Kim Jong Un as inspiration.
Please don't nuke us, Kim.
I use
My favorite movie in the whole world is the
I'm
Hunt for
wearing
Red
Star
October,
Spangled
y'all.
socks right now. I'm not scared of Kim Jong Un.
Okay, to be fair, we are in the Midwest, so
You got more on your list there, Jake.
yeah, I got a lot more on my list. I mean, inspiration comes from a lot of sources. Like I will just I steal from Supernatural, the TV show, a lot because
It's your favorite.
Redneck Dragon Ball Z.
Law and Order with demons.
Now we've got Dave, Satan's cousin, who's twice as evil and hasn't been mentioned, but he's gonna kick your
And
ass.
he's got a real nice car. And he's got a bass boat.
Redneck Dragon Ball Z.
tap it out.
I'm sorry again. I know that we generally only have a cap of one, but that is the funniest fucking thing that I've heard all week. Oh my god.
Hate you, Paul. Anyways, when
I'm
you get,
sorry, guys.
when you get past the fact that it's a redneck Dragon Ball Z, there's a lot of good stuff on an episode-to-episode basis. There's about 250 episodes of the show.
For example,
And
in the
Twice
Adventure
as
Zone
evil as
Monster of the
Satan,
Week,
but never mentioned before.
the supernatural sort of episode methodology is referred to as Monster of the Week sometimes.
Yeah, there is literally 250 adventures you could run if you were to take each episode of Supernatural and just run it as an one shot.
Tom, I'll interject while you're catching your breath. Thomas interjects, SSGA is fine. I'm retired military. Yeah, get in touch with Nacho. Come in and talk with us.
Yeah, Nacho's a Marine
Veterans
vet.
in D&D is like the whole thing.
Believe it or not, a whole lot of
we
hurry
had
up and
We
wait.
did a talk point on it.
We had
This is
a
time for
whole show.
that was
ab-
episode 4?
I can't remember what episode it
four,
was
episode five?
actually,
The
but
first
yeah,
episode with Nacho on it.
it was.
Forward
We had a whole segment about tabletop gaming in the military.
But moving on, guys, we got about 14 minutes left. So
And I haven't
that's
even said
sauce.
anything yet other than my
Or me, yeah.
interjections. So.
yeah, no, Supernatural is another they do a lot of really good fluff stuff in Supernatural. There's a lot of stuff at Supernatural you can groan at, but there's a lot of things they do very effectively. I like the way they do their angels and their demons particularly. They're also very good at presenting the idea of how monsters can often present themselves in a social setting. The way they treat vampires a lot of the times is very effective. There's literally an episode where set in modern times, of course, but vampires just go on to Twilight fan sites and talk to teenage girls who are super into Twilight and are like, I'm a real vampire, and then
On
they
the
get vampire
podcast,
chicks.
on audio, you can't see my face right now, but I'm melting.
Yeah, no, and it's
hate this.
But
But still, it's hilarious.
it's a
great.
good place to steal
great
from.
conceit.
It's actually probably what
I l-
vampires would do.
I literally. The long story short, I literally steal from everything I can. I bought Shadow of War, the
Mordor Shadow of War, which is Tolkien. You're wrong. Your setting isn't about songs and love and stuff. It's about murder and brainwashing orcs.
Yeah, it's about
Which I
seeing
disagree with.
how unique and intelligent orcs can be, and then still just forcing them to your will. But I literally bought that game just to steal personality types and orcs and characters.
I trust you guys to remind me. We have an amazing question. Once we get to Paul and he finishes his take on this, we have a
And also
question
me.
that I've.
But
and- and
Frankly, Helen,
I'm sorry.
I'm also
I was thinking we're going around the table. I totally forgot that you haven't given your
That's fine.
take on this
a
yet.
I'm not a
history
DM.
buff / history major. We can talk probably a lot of things that are going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
I was only going to cite one fiction source
But okay, so
and use all of our
Let-
Patreon time
let-
talking
let's-
about history.
let's just let Jake finish up what he's
Yep.
saying.
Anyways,
Obviously,
Let's let
instead of
Jake
just-
finish up.
Hey, Jake, get out of the way. We're going to talk about us now.
Long story short, when it comes to taking inspiration, I find the easiest 3-step thing to find is you take what inspires you. So we will use in this, for this very one, we're going to use Resident Evil. A character who is awesome in Resident Evil but never gets any hype is this guy called Hunk.
Oh yeah, Hunk, definitely the best
The
character.
legendary Hunk. He's only a bonus playable character in a couple of things, and his whole job is he just shows up and he shoots monsters. And that's it. And he's a SWAT team guy, and he just shoots monsters, and he works for Umbrella Corp. And
Best character in Mercenaries in Resident Evil 4.
and he's just he's a one-note character.
Useful though.
How
Definitely
do you
useful.
now? Okay, I want to use Hunk, but I want to take that away. So Hunk is the inspiration. I give him a bit more backstory, use some tables, perhaps, or just look at another character. I want to maybe add some more stuff. He is known as Mr. Death. He is the last survivor of damn near every operation he goes on.
You know, he sounds like the mountain. in
Only
Game of
one who
Thrones.
survived. I'm Zaid Masani, and I'm the only one who survived this mission.
Yeah. So
For those of you who played Mass Effect.
So I take Hunk. I have to obviously adapt the fact that the guy uses a submachine gun. Give him, so I give him a crossbow. Give him a military background, obvious military background. He's a mercenary, and I now have this mercenary that I can just give a much better name to. Instead of Hunk or Mr. Death, I just look at something, but it's in that category. And now Mr. Death,
El Senor Diablo.
Chunk.
El Señor de la Muerte.
Lump.
Right.
I
not
was
devil.
waiting for that,
Yeah.
but I didn't want to be the one to say it.
Yeah,
I'm not very good at Spanish. Sorry, guys.
and you take,
Diablo's devil. Sorry.
but you take that guy, and you just add a couple of fictional twists to him, and suddenly, something death guy, mercenary who's by
Death
himself.
guy.
He no longer resembles, if you just do enough little things to him, he no longer resembles Hunk from Resident Evil. He now is your own character, but he's also hitting on enough touchstones of certain tropes that everybody knows him, but at the same time he feels fresh and he feels unique.
So
He's something that is on the same tier, but is not the same character, and I think that's the important distinction.
He serves the same purpose.
to simplify, take and expand is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Take and expand upon this character.
Take and expand and or alter.
Yeah. Obviously, inspiration is one thing. You can be creative. Don't let us get us wrong. You can create original stuff.
Yeah.
That's, in fact, I would argue better, but you are not weaker for having taken inspiration from other things.
That's a very good point.
And there is a difference between reworking and using inspiration.
Yeah. But
Where
final
do you stand?
thoughts.
I was going to say, Paul, where do you stand on this?
Yeah, where do
we
you
still
like
wanna
take
hear-
your inspiration?
I want to hear your inspiration. We got time.
I have gratuitous free time. So I like to make original things. That being said, I understand that obviously there's nothing new under the sun.
So, what are things that you do you like to take from?
Yeah, what do you like to pull from?
It's a long story.
Yeah, also being a history nerd.
Give
I'm
us
sure.
give us like a top three.
History.
What are your top three?
History is the big one. I like taking from the two different warring states periods in China.
Awesome.
Obviously the one that people know is the Three Kingdoms / Dynasty Warriors period,
Yep.
as well as the one where you had North and South China. I also like, and
Did-
this is a
Paul,
weird one.
Real quick history question: is one of those where they had the really two big boats fight on a rather small lake?
No, it's Three Kingdoms.
But still, look it up. Super cool. Anyway, go on.
The other one, of course, is cultures that history is kind of ignored because they're not European.
Yeah. Yes.
For our setting, I hate to say I'm directly copying it because I've made a lot of changes, obviously, because I feel that directly copying is kind of lazy because, as Jake said, you take and you expand upon, and just taking one culture and saying, these dwarves are now Inca is kind of lame. You have to sort of explain why they got there and how they've changed.
Right. It's more of sort of blending necessarily than just straight up taking.
That said, you are not 1,000 years of history. You should definitely take cues from other cultures.
Right.
But you should not take everything and just sort of stop there.
What about for more contemporary sources?
More contemporary sources. I enjoy Lord of the Rings, although, as we all enjoy Lord of the Rings, of course, I specifically do not enjoy Game of Thrones, but that's just a
Same.
topic for another time.
Yeah, exactly.
Lord of the Rings sort of, people miss the point of orcs. And I
course.
feel that Warcraft and other modern orcs sort of miss the point of, hey, these are people who don't make any beautiful things because they're too concerned with murder and being tortured into hatred. And I suppose the biggest inspiration I feel is, I'm going to sound gratuitously Midwest, so bear with me, but the Bible. I'm super Midwestern.
No, I do use a lot of Judeo-Christian imagery in a lot of my games because it's very relatable for Americans.
Yeah.
Like a lot of us.
Exactly. Using familiar things is really helpful to your players.
I didn't go
sometimes.
to church as a kid, but I have a pretty good understanding of the stories and things that happen in the Bible, and there's a lot of people who do. And so you just,
It's helpful to pull on tropes.
The last one, of course, is European mythology that was sort of crushed by Christianity. Like, one thing you should really know about Fae, like the Fae creature type, is Celtic mythology has Unseelie and Seelie Fae, the winter court
yes.
and the summer court.
The
And
rules are different for each.
they're very different, and you should not mess with them because Seelie court, you're probably not going to mess with them as sort of the kingdom that you're trespassing upon. Unseelie Fae are the ones that you're going to fight with, like monster stats in the monster manual.
Right.
There's something you should look out for, but especially history is very difficult to do because you sort of feel like at some point that you're impinging upon the sort of
You're appropriating. You're worried about that at least.
the cultural identity of what you're
Exactly.
what you're taking inspiration from. Yep.
Right, which is why I always like to blend. I might say, I'm going to take, maybe the government structure and political influence of Tudor England, but set it in the sort of city look and, environmental feel of.
The Iroquois, let's say.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, totally. Just totally go wild. Use a random generator.
Okay.
I hate to say
But
that
yeah,
it's
Jake-
sort of like just mix and
Jake's been
match.
looking over
Take
my
a couple
shoulder.
cultures,
Yeah.
slend them together, see how they'd fit.
Yeah.
I hate to be that guy, guys, but we're running low on time. We
We
have
gotta
one
comment.
question to ask, and we need to give our final thoughts. So let's give our final thoughts on this, and then let's answer this question.
I
Helen
want to
had
say,
a final thought. that she
yeah, my
missed.
one piece of inspiration that I would really like to recommend for all of our viewers is a book series that I actually read as a young lady that rather influenced how I think about fantasy, called The Enchanted Forest Chronicles
Oh yes.
by Patricia C. Reed, starting with Dealing with Dragons.
Oh,
Which is
oh
super
my
good.
God, yes,
that
that's
is
super
literally
good.
one of my favorite books and is extremely formative for me about how dragons work, about how magic works later on when you go into the Enchanted Forest, with how like it works across the
frying
forest,
pan of
and how
doom.
like the king of the Enchanted Forest can like directly manipulate the magic by just like looking at it, and how like witches and magicians work with like hearth magic and with having like a vest full of pockets
So,
like a damn fisherman.
On
Anyway,
top of that, I should say,
Neat.
it's super good.
young adult books and children's books actually
Go
hold a
ham.
wealth of
Oh my God.
inspiration
Oh, yeah.
that you'd not believe in. I mean,
Get a library card, go check out a bunch of stuff. They're usually, stuff you can read in a day or two,
the day that I figure out
You
how
might
to
even
work,
feel a feeling.
the day that I figure out how to work the Giver into a D&D setting,
yeah,
I will
that's-
retire as a
that's
DM.
a great one. Is
Yeah, classics.
the day when I became a man, I put away all childish things, including the fear of being seen as childish.
So, guys,
Yeah.
I think we're going to talk a little bit more on inspiration next week. I think there's a
Yeah.
couple of steps on this topic that we haven't covered, but we will save that for next week. But we got to wrap up, and I really want
With
to
a
get to
relevant
this
question.
great
Yeah.
question.
Jonathan Caputo. Hey guys, first time viewer but followed.
Thanks, Thanks.
I finally tried D&D for the first time after 25 years of
Oh my
looking for
God.
people to play with.
I admire you.
I just
loves it.
And I love it.
As the fossil of the show, I just turned 27. Thank you for your patience.
Eager to start DMing any shows on YouTube besides Matt Colville I should watch. If I may,
And us.
there are two that I have watched before.
I'm listening.
I did not watch them as religiously as Matthew Colville. Specifically, Matthew Colville's Running the Game series, which I think is like past 30 episodes or so now. A Fistful of Dice has some good stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's not quite as where Matthew Colville is like in steps and it kind of gradually builds on top of things. Like I wouldn't recommend necessarily watching Matthew Colville out of order.
Can I recommend as a very bottom rung the Adventure Zone?
Adventure Zone is great.
Adventure Zone is super great.
And
also, John, it's cool. I just feel old among all these other people.
where Matthew Colville has an entire series dedicated to that one topic, I feel like A Fistful of Dice covers multiple different topics, if you will. They're kind of independent of each other.
There are all sorts of dice.
And then there are certain things that I've looked to that I have found videos on Nerdarchy.
Mike Pisani suggests WebDM.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
getting to things I'd recommend, more specifically, if I do find very helpful when you're trying to DM and you're trying to get better at DMing is watching other DMs actually do their work.
Oh,
so
yeah.
watching shows like Critical Role,
Or the Adventure Zone.
watching or listening to the Adventure Zone and Fistful
I
of
believe
Dice.
Drunks and Dragons also streams on Twitch, but their podcast is also very entertaining.
Yeah.
Very
They
long
stream
running.
soon
too.
enough, I'm
And
sure.
if I'm going to
Hashtag
give
Illusion will never die.
if I'm going to give my personal recommendation, it'd actually be the series that got me into D&D, which was Roleplay.
I mean,
Um,
was there another person who got you
ROLL
into
play.
D&D?
yeah. No, it was StarCraft show, basically.
Now I'm hurt. Go on.
No, it was a StarCraft show. Or it was a StarCraft-based YouTube channel, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna start playing some YouTube D&D for fun." And this was like back in 2012, 13. And Neil
6 years
Erickson,
ago.
Neil Erickson, the DM for the first campaign they did, been DMing for over 20 years, really knows his stuff. He runs second edition, but his DMing style
That's
is
vintage.
still yeah.
It's not quite as vintage. We're talking about BCMI is pretty
fair.
vintage, but
But it's the stuff, it's the way he runs the game that I really appreciate. And then there's also Adam Coble, who wrote Dungeon World, co-wrote Dungeon World.
oh yeah, an excellent system.
And he does a lot of different game types on there, and his DMing style is fantastic. His description is something I try to attain, but I'm just nowhere near as good at it as him.
Remember, you're comparing your blooper reel to other people's highlight reel.
No, exactly, but at the same time, gotta aim high.
Yeah. I mean, you'll always be your own worst enemy, but at the same time,
Know your enemy, but above all, know yourself, and you should win 1,000 battles.
Yes. So with
Thank
that,
you,
guys, we have gone 40 minutes over our show time. One last time, we're doing a giveaway. If you're new here and you're enjoying the content, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We are doing a giveaway. Head to our Facebook page, 3DMs Podcast, and we are going to give away a book to 2 lucky people. If
Who have liked our page.
Yeah, when you get to our page, like our page, when we get to 500 listeners, we are going to give away a book to 2 lucky followers on our Facebook page. So show up and give us a like, give us a follow.
Any Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition book could be yours.
and to clarify, because I have seen that there's a discrepancy between follows and likes, this is specifically likes. Follows are not counting toward this giveaway.
That being said, we still do love follows.
We still love the follows, but if you want to be entered into the giveaway, you have to like the page.
Yes.
True.
And apart from that, once you like, please send us messages about topics you want to hear talked about on the show. Send us anything D&D interesting you find, and we will talk about it if we think it's good show content. We're really trying to grow here, and we want to grow with you. Okay, we can't do this without you guys. Otherwise it's just 3 assholes sitting in a room talking.
Yeah, I just came to
3 assholes
the crazy
and
realization that we've
Why,
been
thank you.
doing this for like 3 months now. And we
because
wouldn't
I'm-
have been able to continue it without, the engagement of our listeners.
Yeah,
so
we're on-
continue
And
to
from
engage,
viewers
continue the
like you.
commenting.
That's a great PBS voice, Paul.
Message us message us your homebrew stuff, and we'll talk about it on the show. I mean, this is
or tune in Sundays at 4 on our Facebook page live.
Yep.
Because we love hearing comments.
Oh yeah, we love talking about
100%.
comments.
And the show is available in retrospect on our SoundCloud. If you look up 3DMs, 3 spelled the old-fashioned way and not the number, SoundCloud, you
And
will
we
find
will-
every single episode, including, I believe, the lost episode, episode
yes.
2.
We will also have our website up and running officially on beautiful, delicious WordPress
Shortly.
tonight or tomorrow. Yeah,
Perfect.
I got to do some battle with Adobe Illustrator, but yeah, we'll get it done.
All right, but guys, we've gone way over time. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We love you. I'm Jake.
I'm Paul.
I'm Helen.
And I'm Clint.
Roll well this week, guys. We'll see you next week, and we can't wait to hear from you. Have a good night.
Fear not, ranger, barbarian, magician, thief, cavalier, and acrobat.
Who was that?
That was Venger, the force of evil. I am Dungeon Master, your guide in the realm of Dungeons and Dragons.
And
All right, gang.
and that's how you play Dungeons.
That's it.
And Dragons.
The encoders are off. I don't know how to get off of live on Facebook, but
Sorry, guys.
That's cool. That's cool.
hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I was also going to say, Clint, I'm sorry last week that I straight up used my bitchy ice cold voice on you, being like, you interrupted me and I'm calling you out in public about it because,
What'd you say?
it was like last week I literally said, you interrupted me and like used my bitchy ice cold voice. That was because I didn't talk to her all morning in a different setting, so. Jake was just like, Helen, it sounded like bad podcasting. I was like, oh, I'm sorry.
I don't remember that. We are branding ourselves as a D&D talk show. It seems as though it's working out really well.
I have 3 of my friends commenting now and saying, again, my buddy Moss, the Italian, said, best description of Superman. Fuck Moss.
double check, make sure everything's off. Don't wanna have to deal with that problem again.